But I will end the Biden inflation nightmare, and we will end it very quickly. I will stop Biden's trillions and trillions of dollars in wasteful spending and rapidly terminate the Green New scam. It's one of the greatest scams in history. I will repeal Crooked Joe's insane electric. How about the electric vehicle mandate? And we will drill, baby, drill. All cars are going to be electric. They don't go far. They cost too much. And by the way, electric cars have a great place. They have a great place, but not a place for 100%. Maybe not a place for 10%. Whatever it is, they have a place. You can't go far. And they're going to all be made in China. They are expensive. Right now, you have hundreds of thousands. This is a great time to buy an electric car. You know why this? You know what? You ever notice the auto companies aren't upset about it? They're making cars that can't sell. They just can't sell. They have hundreds of thousands of them. You know why? Because we're spending trillions of dollars and giving them subsidy. So the auto companies don't care. Normally, they'd all be bankrupt if that were the case. They're making cars that can't sell. Now they want to make your army tanks all electric so that we can go into a community near you. No, we go into enemy territory. We blast the hell out of them, but we do it in an environmentally friendly way. No, do you ever? No, it's crazy. We make the greatest army tanks in the world. We make them in Ohio. We make them in Lima. I was the one, I stopped it. They said, sir, there's a plant that makes the army tank. The only plant we have that does it. And I was president-elect, and I was called by Jim Jordan, who's great. You know Jim Jordan from Ohio? And he said, could you take a look at it, sir? Because I don't think you can replace it. So anyway, I went up, Lima. I went up, and I said, wow. This place is unbelievable. It makes army tanks. That's all they've done for years and years. They make the best tanks in the world. They were going to close it under, I guess it was Obama, but it was scheduled to be closed. And I looked. I said, this is a room that is 20 times larger than this, and it's unbelievable. The ball bearings, all that heavy steel, and you can almost move it with your hand. It's so incredible how it all works. And these guys are so professional. I said, if you close this, you'll never be able to open up a plant with this talent or this kind of a plant. And now they want, and I kept it open. I took it off the list, and it makes more tanks than anybody in the world right now. Unfortunately, all we do is give the tanks away. We make them, we give them away faster than we can make them. You need some tanks? Oh, yeah, we'll send them to you over there. And they're expensive suckers too, but we'll provide all of our friends and many of our enemies with tanks, because half of the time with Biden you don't know if they're friends or enemies. We give them whatever they want. But when you look at it, but now they want to make them electric, and the problem is very similar. They don't go far. They're too heavy, very heavy. You know, the battery. In fact, it's so much bigger than a tank for diesel fuel or gasoline that they want to make a truck, like a toy truck. You know, like a little toy truck, with a huge battery on the back. It's almost as big as the army tank. So when it goes into enemy territory, it's pulling this thing. I said, what happens if somebody blows it up? Well, you're dead. Now you don't have to hit the tank. You just have to hit the battery. No, they want to do it. Think of it. They want to do it. Now they'll say, oh, these stories are terrible. Well, these stories are, you heard my story in the boat with the shark, right? I got killed on that. They thought I was rambling. I'm not rambling. They want to make boats. And they are demanding that they be all battery operated, all electric. And I was in South Carolina at this wonderful family boat yard. The big yard make a lot of boats, from 17, like fishing boats, 17 to 30 feet. And I said, how's everything going? No good. They want us to go all electric. I said, well, would that work? No, because it's so heavy we can't get the boat to float. The battery is so heavy. So then I start talking about asking questions, I had an uncle who was a great professor at MIT for many years, I think the longest tenure ever, very smart, had 3 different degrees. And, so I have an aptitude for things. There is such a thing as an aptitude. I said, well, what would happen if this boat is so heavy and started to sink and you're on the top of the boat? Do you get electrocuted or not? In other words, the boat is going down and you're on the top. Will the electric currents flow through the water and wipe you out? And let's say there's a shark about 10 yards over there. Would I have to immediately abandon, or could I ride the electric down? And I said, sir, nobody's ever asked us that question. But, sir, I don't know. I said, well, I want to know because I guarantee you one thing. I don't care what happens. I'm staying with the electric. I'm not getting over with it. So I tell that story. It's, just fun. And the fake news, they go, he told this crazy story with electric. It's actually not crazy. It's sort of a smart story, right? Sort of like, it's like the snake. It's the smart. When you figure what you're leaving in, right? You're bringing it in. The snake, right? The snake. And the snake, I tell that. And they do the same thing. What does a snake have to do with illegal immigration? Well, I think it has a lot to do with it because that's exactly what what you get. And that's what we're getting. We're getting problems like you wouldn't believe, right? So they want to go all electric. They want to make our airplanes, our fighter jets, electric, even though they're 18% less efficient. Now, the difference between 18% and 100% is the difference between being easily and immediately shot down or winning. They don't care. They don't care. And I say, why are they doing this? They're flying over enemy territory, and they don't want to affect the air. They're blowing the shit out of the place, but they don't want to. Think of it. They don't want to affect the air. They want it to be beautiful air, clean air and water. Boom, boom, boom. These people are stone cold crazy. And these idiots are running our government. They're running our government. I met with the truckers the other day. Big thing. I'm a big Roger Penske fan, right? I like Roger. He's won Indianapolis like 19 or 20 times. I'm a fan. But he owns trucks, and he was one of the guys there. And one of these people has 28,000 trucks. Think of that. I said, how many trucks do you have? 28,000, sir. I said, you got to be kidding. 28,000. And they're big ones, the 18-wheelers. They're big, big trucks. And they're really bothered. Oh, I'm solving their problem probably by doing this, because by everything I do, when I go out and favor something like no tax on tips. They haven't been able to do that because, they just set regulations that make it impossible for people that get tips to even live, to breathe. But no tax on tips, that's a big deal. Remember that, everybody? It's a big deal. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. I don't think they're going to be able to do it. They have been so vicious to these people. But now they'll soften up a lot just by doing it. But I was with Roger Penske and these truckers. And they said a big problem is they want us to go all electric on our trucks. And I say, well, if you fill it up with diesel, and the big guy at the meeting that had this big monster company. Think of it, 28. Starts with one truck, and then he's got 28,000 trucks over many, many decades. And he said, sir, every single year I bought a truck. He used very foul language, but I won't do it because I promised Franklin Graham. Franklin wrote me a letter the other day. I watched your rally. I thought it was great. But honestly, Mr. President, it would have been much better if you didn't use foul language. And I said to myself, he's wrong about that, because sometimes for emphasis, I don't use real foul, but every once in a while I'll use a little word here or there, and not a particularly bad one. But I said to myself, I'm going to do it because I like him a lot. But he said, it's great, your stories are great, but you don't have to use. But sometimes there's no word that can describe it, right? I'm looking for a word. Like when somebody tells tall tales, there's a certain word that starts with B, right? There's no word that I can find to replace, right? But I'm trying, Franklin. I'm trying. And when people... Now, we have these big rallies. In New Jersey, we just had a rally, 107,000 people. Can you believe it? 25,000 people in the South Bronx. So we had 88,000 people in South Carolina, 68,000 in Alabama. And I said, when people start leaving early, I'm going to have to go back to the foul language, I think. But so we have this meeting, and he said, I started off 50 years ago. And every single year that I bought a truck, it was better than the first year, better than the previous year. The truck got better, got stronger, faster, bigger. more fuel efficient. Every year for 50 years, those trucks get bigger. He said, sir, I build apartments. We call them apartments, or those trucks. You would be proud to live in one of those. I said, I don't know about that. You know, they build the cabs with a place to stay. I said, I could handle it. I mean, I could. But he said, every year they get better. If they force this electric mandate on us, we'll go back 70 years, not 50 years. He said, we'll have to stop 6 times from New York to Los Angeles. I said, how many times do you have to stop now? None. We go directly New York to Los Angeles, all the way, no stops. I said, didn't you explain that to them? Yes, we do all the time. Does it make any difference to them? The other thing, I didn't know this, he told me that the truck will be more than 2 times heavier. He said, so if you do this, you're going to have to rebuild every bridge in the country. Can you believe it? Now, how stupid is it? And the other thing is it takes much more room, so a lot of your payload is going to be gone. It takes much, much more room. The whole thing will, possibly never work, and that's okay. Some things you got to know. But I said, so what's their attitude? We don't care. We want you to go electric. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. You can explain it to them.